Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? All right, let's talk about the Vietnam Dong. If you remember, and everybody got shut down to deal with the RONA back in 2020, Vietnam was trugging right along. They had either the best or the second best economy in 2020. And they could have had a much better one, but unfortunately, with everybody in shutdown, even though they can function, when they needed to export or import stuff from other countries, the other countries were shut down. So it prevented them from probably having a historic year that year. 2021, and I'm talking about 2020. In 2021, they were hit with the RONA, but they weren't down very long. As a matter of fact, towards the end of 2021, they rebounded really well. As a matter of fact, coming into 2022, they are kicking butt. Remember, I was telling you that the US dollar, once it starts depreciating against other currencies, you will see other currencies go up against the US dollar. I did a video showing you that the Vietnam Dong was slowly but surely creeping up on the US dollar. Not a lot at one time, but it is creeping up. Well, guess what? The United States dollar isn't the only one that's creeping up on. Before I get started, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you are not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, go to our friends over there at Money Metals Exchange. The link is down below in the description. If you're a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and you will get a free half ounce of silver. Well, looky here. It seems to me like the Vietnam Dong is getting pretty strong, not just against the US dollar, but against the euro as well. The euro's depreciation. What should business in Vietnam expect? The euro plunged in value below parity with the US dollar. That's back in July. Like it was so long ago, it was only like a month and a half ago. A 20-year low. The ongoing depreciation of the euro has many far-reaching economic impacts, not only within the eurozone, but also in partner countries like Vietnam. Vietnam Brief and Analysis, the influence of the devaluation of the euro on businesses in Vietnam. So here's my thing. The more these economies start to crash, I think you're going to see the European Union fall apart. I think Spain is now talking about leaving the European Union. Let's see if that happens. We know they have Brexit. Yeah, they need to tear that thing down, because that was the test run for the one world government. In 2021, a euro typically equaled $1.20 of US dollars before steadily spiraling down to $1.13. I like how they said spiraling. It's only like 7 cents. Give me a break. So it went from $1.20 before steadily spiraling down to $1.13 at the beginning of 2022. The currency then sent a wave of economic shock in July of 2022 as it fell below $1 US before increasing back up to $1.02 on July 20th. The European currency has thus fallen by 19% since its high in January 2021, and by 37% since an all-time high back in April 2008. At almost the same value as the US dollar, the euro depreciation is now a burden for the European economies as they face soaring inflation and a vulnerable business environment post-pandemic. There are two main drivers behind the depreciation of the euro. Chief among these is the interest rate hike by the US Federal Reserve, which has driven up the appreciation of the US dollar. It's been artificially pumped for a long time, the US dollar I'm talking about. And that rooster is going to come home to roo here pretty soon, because I don't know how much longer to be able to keep it up. I know they're trying like hell. To curb inflation, the Fed raised its benchmark interest rate by 0.75%. Citing a recession risk, meanwhile, the European Central Bank is caught up in a dilemma. While it identifies a need to raise the interest rate to cushion soaring inflation, the European Union economy is still vulnerable after the RONA and would suffer from high interest rates. Well, that's what they said about us here, but magically our dollar still continues to be strong. Another reason is soaring inflation due to the shortage of energy supplies caused by the Russian-Ukraine crisis. The EU is heavily dependent on energy supplies from Russia, and therefore energy supply shortages have pushed up prices for European already struggling to recover from the RONA. The depreciation of the euro not only has consequences for the EU, but also implications for the other economies, such as Vietnam.
In Vietnam, he was 19. In Vietnam, he was 19.
Oh yeah, 19 by Paul Hardcastle. That's some old school stuff for you right there. Anyways, let's get down to this. So what does the euro depreciation mean for Vietnam's imports? The EU currency devaluation comes with mixed results for both European exporters and Vietnamese importers. Remember, when your currency goes down in value, you lose purchasing power, which means it takes more of your dollars to buy things, especially things you need to import. Now, if you're an exporter, like a business here that wants to sell your goods to other countries, well, it's good for you because the labor cost is cheaper, the supplies are cheaper because the dollar's depreciated. So this helps you to be competitive against other countries because you're able to sell your products at a cheaper rate. The euro's depreciation increases the purchasing power of Vietnamese importers while making their products of EU exporters more competitive in the international market. See that? Indeed, importers in Vietnam can take advantage of euro's depreciation to buy more goods from European partners since they are now cheaper, especially Vietnamese businesses in the pharmaceutical, fashion, computers, wheat, and electrical sectors. The main industries that Vietnam imports from the EU should see this period as an opportunity to purchase more goods from the EU with the same amount of investment. This can thus contribute to profits, and they can also scale up their inventory of materials and goods that otherwise cost more. Heck yeah. A point of note is that the aforementioned case is applied to contracts with payments in euros. Meanwhile, contracts with European partners in US dollars see little to no impact. What does the European depreciation mean for Vietnam's exports? Well, the Vietnam EU export sector may bear the most considerable influence whether the payment currency is in the US dollar or the euro. First, as the euro currency depreciates, European purchasing power deteriorates. Their demand for non-essential goods is weakened, which means lower demand for imported goods from Vietnam as well as other countries. The impact can already be felt in industries such as wood and also wooden furniture exports and seafood exports in Vietnam as businesses are receiving fewer orders from EU partners. The export value of the EU in these industries in the last 2 quarters of 2022 is also projected to drop significantly compared to the first 2 quarters when Vietnam hit a trade surplus with the EU. Remember, Vietnam has a trade surplus with our country as well, but since we got a weak-ass leader in there that won't enforce the laws like Trump was going to do, they're not going to increase the value of the Vietnam dong, which is what they should do. Now they have a trade surplus with the EU as well as the United States. Second, as the majority of the contracts are signed in US dollar payments, more importers in the EU are now reluctant to buy their Vietnam partners as conversion rates are higher, adding to the increased costs. This also means imported products from Vietnam are subject to higher prices when converted into euros from US dollar, thus discouraging European consumers from buying imported goods. Third, exporters in Vietnam are likely to face losses as the euro depreciates. Businesses engaged in contracts with payments in euros may see their profits fall as the same amount of payments in euros is now exchanged for less value in Vietnam dong, which undermines the profits of the exporters. Yep. Whenever a currency is devalued, depending on how low it goes, that's why you'll see a bunch of corporations run over to these countries and move their production factories there. It's because the cost of labor and supplies are cheaper there. So you get the picture. Look, as the US dollar is artificially still pumped up, by the way. But if you remember, the Vietnamese dong started to gain on the US dollar just a little bit. Well, it's doing the same thing to the euro. All right, so against the United States and against the European Union, Vietnam dong is starting to increase in value. And that's a step in the right direction. It's nothing to write home to mom about, not yet. But unless these countries start cracking the whip on currency manipulators, then nothing's going to be done to them. Like I said, Vietnam has a trade surplus both with the European Union as well as the United States. And what's going to be done about it? Nothing whatsoever. So there is a concern that the euro continues to depreciate. Of course it will. There's no doubt about it. The future of the European currency holds uncertainties as the ECB has yet to make any clear announcements about its upcoming decisions. However, experts hold that as energy supply disruptions by Russia is likely to continue, if not get worse, the continued depreciation of the euro is inevitable. Some warn that the value of €1 might eventually fall to as low as 90 cents to the US dollar. From where it is, that's a pretty big drop. That's a 13% overall loss in value. So does that mean the Vietnam dong will increase by 13%? There's no telling. It just depends on what Vietnam does. It goes on to say the ECB is expected to raise its benchmark interest rates by 0.25%. Yet this move is considered to be of modest efficiency, as the Fed has even declared to bring up the rate for the 4th time this year. Yeah, they're going for it. So businesses in Vietnam impacted by the devaluation of the euro should be prepared for further depreciation and factor the loss in their budgets. While the EU is a significant market, exporters in Vietnam should look to hedge and diversify their markets outside the EU in a short and to medium term to avoid profit losses as demand for import goods in the EU become unstable. See what they're talking about here? Vietnam businesses doing business in the EU, you better get the hell out of there to hedge against the loss of the purchasing power of the euro. Anyways, I thought that was an interesting article. We know that the Vietnam dong has gained against the US dollar. Now we see it gained against the euro. Remember, at one time, the euro and the US dollar were considered the two strongest currencies. Anyways, that's it for now, you guys. Let me know what you think. I will catch you later. I'm out.